everybody. Welcome to Lunch with Stormy, and it is a Liberty edition. We have a very accomplished guest on the podcast today. Her name is Emily White, and she has a very impressive background. She's a tour manager, music tour manager, turned multi-vertical powerhouse, working across, listen to this, music, politics, comedy, social media, artist development, sports, and publishing. Just a few things she does. Her first clients were the Dresden Dolls, and while she was in college. Since then, she's worked with a slew of top talent. She's a best-selling author, an in-demand speaker, an adjunct instructor, and a consultant who has been featured in such publications as, another list, Billboard, Fast Company, Forbes, Bloomberg, and ESPN. She serves on the boards of Well Done, Future of Music, Cash Music, South by Southwest, the David Lynch Foundation Live, while additionally serving on the Grammys Education Committee and Pandora's Artist Advisory Council. This woman's busy. We're going to chat about something different today, and I'm excited to chat with her because she has an initiative that everyone needs to know about. It's timely, and it's called I Voted. It's at ivotedconcerts.com. And it's a nonpartisan effort to get out the vote. Let's do this thing. And they're holding the largest virtual concert on election night for us, more entertainment, Tuesday, November 3rd. They're going to have more than 500 acts on this podcast. Amazing. And we're going to talk more about that. And Emily will share with us how you too can access this amazing concert and phenomenal lineup. We have a special guest that'll pop in today. I'm really excited about. So there's a lot to discuss over this lunch. So join me in welcoming the very colorful Emily White.
Thank you so much for having me, Stormy.
Oh my gosh, thanks for being here. What an exciting thing that you do. Well, what an exciting thing that you've done. What an exciting life that you've led. It's absolutely fascinating. I have to start with this story because I think this is so much fun. Your Dresden Doll story.
Sure.
Like you're in college, right? You see a concert, you love them, and you literally walk up to the singer and say, "What do you say?"
Yeah, I was super nervous. They played at my school at Northeastern University. They were a local band, but definitely had some heat and were on the rise. And I introduced myself to Amanda Palmer and said, I'm studying music business. I intern at a local radio station and write for a local music magazine. Let me know if you ever need help with anything. And Amanda's like, can you come over tomorrow? So Amanda actually has a best-selling book out called The Art of Asking. And it kind of shows never hurts to ask.
Really? That's incredible. She actually has a book called that.
Yes.
Was it based off your conversation that day?
No, but it just made me think of that when we were talking about her.
Well, so you go up, and what were you studying in college?
Music business.
You were in music business. Okay. And then you walk up and you say, "Hey, I love you. You need some help." She's like, "I need so much help." And then it launches into this incredible career, right?
Yeah, we really grew up professionally together. I started interning, doing merch, tour managing, day-to-day management, became their manager. So, it was just perfect timing where, like I said, it was this awesome band, but they were still local. But the day I graduated college, I did graduate, but I didn't walk because we were at Coachella starting a 3-continent tour with 9 Inch Nails. So it just kept growing and we both learned a ton for sure.
Okay. So by the time she graduates college, you skipped over that. That's phenomenal. You're at Coachella with the 9 Inch Nails and the Dresden Dolls. All because you asked a question. I talk about this a lot on the podcast about people, not thinking maybe that they're qualified for something or they need to reinvent themselves. And your life from that moment, sure, maybe you'd have been in music and maybe you would have done, some stuff. You were studying that, but literally a 30-second conversation changes your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And, but it was a long time ago and it was still hard, right? So that first week on the 9 Inch Nails tour, I was in tears, I was super stressed out. People needed spreadsheets back in New York. But I ended up retiring from tour management when I was 23, just because I wasn't challenged by it anymore. So you're exactly right. You need to, throw yourself into those situations. I was always honest if there was something I didn't know how to do, right? Like when I first asked the band if I could tour manage them, I literally was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I could sell your merch. And that worked for them. And then Amanda has also said, like, it was nice to work with a young tour manager, industry person to kind of shape and mold into what worked for them. And then also when I did first introduce myself to Amanda, she told me years later that she had offers from fans to help, but I was the first that presented myself professionally. So that's something to keep in mind, especially for those interested in getting into the music industry and entertainment.
And I love that you retired from it at 23 years old. Like, and then you retired at 23. Like, that must have been exhausting. How long were you in it? Was this a 2-year career, a 4-year career?
Basically from age 20 to 23, I got paid to travel the world with the band, and they played at every major festival. And I loved our crew. I mean, it was just a phenomenal experience, but I started to know some of these venues and hotels better than my neighborhood in Brooklyn. So that's when it was time to come off the road, which I was fortunate to be able to do.
I love that. And then you continued in the industry though, right? You continued working. What were some of those next steps?
Yeah, it was perfect timing because the band was with a great management company called Madison House, and they needed help with a few more artists. So they were trying to convince me to come off the road, but I didn't really need convincing. So I got my management chops at a phenomenal company called Madison House until my boss left to work for the Rolling Stones, longtime promoter. He brought me. So I worked on the Zac Brown band. That was a part of Live Nation Artists, where the first signees were Madonna, U2, and Jay-Z. That fell apart in about 7 months. I was young enough when I did that. I was 24, where I was like, okay, this is either going to be the biggest thing ever or a big disaster. And if it's a disaster, it'll be a great learning experience. I kind of viewed it as grad school. So the latter is what happened. But I launched my first entertainment company immediately after that in 2008.
Amazing. So first, I have this little standing thing I'm obsessed with. The only band where I scream like, I'm a 9-year-old at the Beatles concert is Aerosmith. Did you ever cross paths with them?
Yeah.
Let's have a Steven Tyler story. I've traveled everywhere to see them. The only person that makes me scream like a girl, well, that doesn't even make sense, but you know what I mean, still makes me feel I've been following them since I was 7 years old, my whole lifetime. Let's hear the story.
Well, they were my first favorite band on my own in like the Alicia Silverstone era.
Oh, right.
I was actually voted like most likely to become an Aerosmith roadie in 8th grade. Oh
my God, we are kindred spirits.
So my story isn't too crazy, but yeah, I guess it was a different Coachella 2008. I was like in the bathroom line backstage, and then I realized Steven Tyler was also in the bathroom line, and there was one bathroom. So he kind of looked at me like, do you want to go? Should I go? I'm like, am I having this moment with Steven Tyler right now? So
can we go together? Is that totally inappropriate?
So my story isn't too crazy, but that's what I've got for you.
Okay, I've got one back for you. Met the concert, same era, right? This was, I think it was the Janie's Got a Gun tour.
Nice.
It was like 1992. Maybe it was Get a Grip. It was Get a Grip because I got the drumstick. It was the Get a Grip tour. I'm in the front row, and how I got there is ridiculous, but I'm in the very front, and it was when you could still go up to the stage and like look at them, and touch the stage. I'm in the front row. Steven Tyler comes crawling like a cat, like coming down, crawls right by. I feel his breath on my face. And I'm like, oh my God, it's my moment. It's my moment. And he starts making out with the girl next to me.
Shut up.
No, I swear to you. First, he breathes on me, and then he kisses the girl next to me, who, by the way, had a date and I didn't.
Wow.
And I didn't know her either, but that's one of my concerts.
It's also just like, we're so excited for real concerts to come back, and that's such a non-pandemic COVID moment too.
It's right. That'll never happen again. Not with him or anybody. But I love that you love him as much, or the whole band actually, as much as I do. But what you're doing for this election, and I think this is your second time to do an I Voted. But this is a phenomenal initiative. It really is. You can hashtag and search for different things on I voted, hashtag I voted. Go to iVotedConcert.com, right? Not plural, just concert.com.
I think it's concerts, and also ivotedfestival.com. Same URL.
Okay. Same one. It'll come up on the Google. And it's going to be streamed for everybody on Tuesday, November 3rd. So let's talk about that. It was founded by Mike Luba and Pat Sansone. Is that how you say it?
Yep.
Got it right. And they launched this, and how was it formed? What was the brainchild?
Yeah, definitely. I'll give you some background on kind of what we did, what we're doing, where we're going, all that. So I'm a longtime entrepreneur based in New York City, but I'm originally from Wisconsin, where the presidential election was decided in 2016 by 22,000 votes and change. It was decided next door in Michigan by 10,000 votes and change. And I'd read that voter turnout was down in Milwaukee, where I'm from. And I was like, 22,000, that's our basketball arena. Why don't we put together? Yeah, exactly.
That gave me chills for some reason. That's crazy to think about.
Right. So I was like, why don't we put together some sort of sick concert and tie in voting? And I realized that if we took the concept national, we could have that much more impact. So for the 2018 midterm elections, we activated over 150 venues in 37 states to let fans in on election night who showed a selfie from outside their polling place. All of these amazing artists performed: Billie Eilish, Playboi Carti, Maggie Rogers. We got all this great press, and it was just myself and an intern working on it. So it was an idea that completely caught fire. So now we've obviously pivoted under the pandemic, and we've been inviting artists to perform via webcast on election night. Fans can access the stream by RSVPing with a selfie at home with their blank and unmarked mail-in ballot, or from outside their polling place. If you've already voted, you can snap a photo next to your mailbox to support USPS. If you're not 18 by November 3rd, you can RSVP with a video letting us know what election you will be 18 for and why you're excited to vote. And if you're not a US citizen or ineligible to vote for any reason, you can RSVP to let us know which artists you're excited to check out. Now, instead of just kind of going through my virtual Rolodex and inviting artists that we hope people will like or that we think that they'll like, we've been inviting artists who are the top streaming acts in and or from each state. We're still not funded, so we focused on 20, 25 swing states. I'd love to focus on all 50 when we're funded for 2022. But out of that, over 500 artists have confirmed to date. There's a little enthusiasm for voter turnout this year.
That's amazing.
Which means it'll be, unfortunately, the largest music festival of the year. And it's also going to smash the record for the largest single night digital concert in history, all in support of voter turnout.
Incredible. So did you get a Utah band? Is Utah close to one of those swing states?
We have some Utah artists. Yes, actually.
That's amazing. And I understand you have a Wisconsin artist, your mom's favorite artist.
Yes. Well, we have an artist who's very popular in Wisconsin. They're not from Wisconsin, but they're trending very highly there. But yeah, my mom's obsessed. Obsessed
with the Red Hot Chilli Pipers.
Yes.
We did say Pipers and we meant Pipers.
Yep.
And that is our special guest. Our second special guest today is Kevin MacDonald, who, if you guys have not checked out the Red Hot Chilli Pipers, it's entertaining. I can't keep my eyes off of them. I really can't. When they are on stage, or my video, I haven't been to the live concert, which I miss so much, but it's phenomenal. So welcome, Kevin.
Evening, how's it going?
It's going all right. How are you?
Good. I'm conscious I may have to speak a little bit slower because I'm on the other side of the Atlantic at the moment.
You are. Well, you sound amazing and look like you've, just woke up and had your coffee and are ready to play some bagpipes.
Well, I won't be playing some bagpipes for another 3 or 4 weeks, unfortunately, because I've just recovered from COVID-19.
Oh my gosh. Well,
yeah. But I would say the lung capacity of playing bagpipes has definitely helped along the way. No drugs in this country, just sheer willpower and lung power.
How long were you? Thank you for sharing that with us. How long were you down for?
13 days.
13 days.
Yeah, and I had none of the asymptomatic symptoms that they've been telling you about the coughs. I had severe migraines, loss of sense of taste. I've had the nauseous. I've had the unfortunate diarrhea as well. And I've lost over 12 pounds in 10 days.
Is that the silver lining?
Well, it is, because it means that I'll get back into my kilt when life reopens again. Because we are very fortunate that when we do perform, we all wear a standard uniform, which is a black kilt, red sporran, and we do a bit of dancing about a stage and play the bagpipes at the same time. So yeah, no, listen, I'm on the road to recovery. Certain things in life I've just appreciate when you go through these type of situations that, we're all in this together, and it affects all nature of people, from small to large to male, female, young and old. And all I do is count my blessings that I'm still here to see the next few days on we go, and see where this, as a Scotsman looking at your election, just seeing where it will go. It's very interesting for us, and certainly being part of the concert aspect of it is a huge honour, and something that, Wisconsin is very, very important to us, and has been very important to us, and has really given us a grounding in the United States to launch the band. And it's certainly a great honour to be part of I Voted coming up. Well,
it's a very important time for the United States, and I have been so afraid of COVID. So I'm one that is, I quarantine a lot, I'm constantly in the mask, and I'm all of those things. So it's very inspiring to meet someone who's gone through it. And I agree with you. If there is one thing that this entire world has ever had that has brought us together, and if there is one good thing to come out of this horrible pandemic, it might be just a little bit of empathy, a realization that we are all the same. It doesn't matter where we put our feet, what color we are, what religion we practice. But if this pandemic doesn't teach us just a little bit of empathy and, world peace, I don't know what else we need to be in our face with this.
I would agree with you. Nothing will shift it unless, people we are all one. I'm not here to politicize. I'm not here, but we are all God's creatures, and we're just getting on with it. And don't take that literally. There are multitudes of religions out there in the world, but working hand in hand with people as we've all seen. It doesn't matter how much money you've got or how little money you've got. This disease does not know any boundaries.
Yeah. Well, I love being one with everybody, and I wish I was one enough with you that I had your accent, because I dig it.
Thank you very much.
How long? I want to talk a little bit about the Hot Chili Pipers. How long has your band been playing?
Well, we first started back in 2002 as just a little bit of fun. And I was listening to your Steven Tyler story. I could probably go just a little bit further than that in terms of my favourite artist I ever got to meet, which was very early on in our career, was a young man called Sir Paul McCartney. And I got to perform right next to him, which was one of the most surreal opportunities of my life down in London. But we started in 2002 just as a bit of fun with 5 friends. And then in 2007, we took part in a United Kingdom talent show. And we were very fortunate to win it, which is the kind of precursor to what we've got now of X Factor, Americans Got Talent, America's Got Talent, Britain's Got Talent, all these kind of shows. It was really one of the first ones, because if you remember back in the 60s and 70s, when television started to become popular, there was all these talent shows, and then they kind of died off in the 80s, and then they started to come back in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. Well, we were in that first phase of these talent shows, and we won a talent show, and out of that there actually became a public demand for us to perform. And in 2007 we wrote our first concert kind of structured set list, and then got booked for a number of things. And in 2009 we got booked to come and play at Milwaukee Irish Fest, and we had no idea what to expect. We were just 8 young guys having a bit of fun. We all had different trades, we all had different backgrounds. We just went over to America. I'd hate to say without proper visas, without properly knowing what we were doing, when we were doing it, and how we were doing it. But we were just on the road having fun. And we performed at Milwaukee, and the rest, they say, is history. We've done now 11 years of the festival, and one of the years we actually took it off from Milwaukee Irish Fest. We played at Summerfest So we were on the same night as Kelly Clarkson. So it's we were on a slightly different stage, but I can at least say I was on the same bill as Kelly Clarkson.
Well, once you've been on the stage with Paul McCartney, do you need to say anything else ever again?
No.
Did you want to kiss him as much as I wanted to kiss Steven Tyler?
I would have done anything for him.
Right.
He would have just had to ask. I think the most surreal element of it was the grounding that gave the rest of us, because he is, over the course of the last 15, 20 years that we've been doing the band, we've been very fortunate to meet a lot of A-lister celebrities, but we've also been very unfortunate to meet a lot of Z-listers, or people that want to be, and we're now in a society now where people only want to be on television so they can be on television rather than it being a choice. And at the event we're playing at, which was Ewan McGregor's charity event, the overriding thing that struck us was that these artists were famous not by choice but by career, but they were still humble human beings, and they were still able to talk to you like normal human beings and have a lot of fun. And as time's gone on, we've met other people who their sole motivation seems to be they want to be famous, and you're like, do you actually know what being famous would actually mean for you? It's a temporary thing, because you're today's news and tomorrow's chip paper, as we would call it over here. And he was the most humble, lovely man. Even bought us a pint, which is, for a celebrity is not an untold thing. They're normally getting stuff thrown at him, but he was such a lovely guy. And, over the course of the last 15, 20 years, we've been able to make some really nice friendships with some really important and nice people.
Well, I love that. And before we go with you, I want to say I can totally see you on a stage in Vegas. Like, everyone needs to go check out your videos, Red Hot Chili Pipers. And I mean, I don't know how you started in 2008 when you visited Wisconsin and you just like 8 young guys stumbling around, but now there's dancers, and I can't take my eyes off it. Like, I literally can't. It's incredible, and it's so unique, and it's just happy. It's happy.
That's it. We for anybody that's not seen us, we don't set out to have a certain demographic. Again, coming back to the pandemic, our music covers everything from 2 to 102. Your granny will have a nice time, because the overriding thing about our music is what we try to do is we take popular rock songs or pop songs and we put them on the bagpipes. But conversely, we also take traditional stuff and we put it on bagpipes. So what you get is the granny that loves the bagpipes coming along going, oh, that's quite cool. And you get the 8 or 9-year-old kid that's really just kind of trying to learn his way in music. And then you get the 30s to the 50s that are kind of going, I know that song. What is that song? Oh, bagpipes have destroyed that song as well, but we're still having a lot of fun. And we've had some critics along the time, and all I would ever say to anybody is, listen, if you're having a bad day, come along to one of our concerts, and I will personally guarantee that you will leave with a smile on your face. And even if that smile is, I really can't believe they just did that with bagpipes, then it's still a smile. And it's still a better day than it was 2 hours before you came along to see us.
Yes. And then my final question for you is, across from the Atlantic, what does America look like right now with our election, this political climate?
I think it's, for me, I'm a very keen historian, and politics is a keen area for me that I like to look at. It's a confusing landscape. I think, for the best will in the world, my joking side would say, in a country that's got so many people, if that's the best 2 candidates you could have had 4 years ago, that's a joke. And then we're in 4 years on and you're still going, is that really the best 2 candidates you have got in that country? But you know what? You have a very divided country that means a great deal to a lot of the guys in the band. A few of us are now married to Americans, and certainly all that I can hope that this election brings is some kind of solidarity across all of it, and the political divides start to fall instead of using political gesturing and tools to make other people look bad, which is one thing I never understand about your politics. The one side about European politics is they focus on their own energies and what they can bring, whereas unfortunately over the course of watching your politics over 30, 40 years, it's all about how bad the other person is as opposed to what can be brought to the table. And I think, if American politics can take anything, It's why not start focusing on what you can do and start delivering on it, not just telling us how bad this other guy's going to be or how bad this other lady's going to be for you. And I really do hope that, I don't think you've really got much, there's positives and negatives on both sides that I can see. I think the economy's done a lot of good things in the last 4 years, but like I often say in the UK, a lot of that is not done by one person or one. We live in a world economy. If you're trying to tell me that one politician can make a massive change to it, I don't believe that is the honest answer. I think they can make some certain choices, but it's really a world economy now that we go up and down because of the world, not because of certain people in political power. And I really do hope that Americans find peace and resolution over the next wee while. And I hope that the pandemic and poverty doesn't strike too great that you end up with a more divided country than the one that we left when we last toured there this time last year. And I hope by the time we come back that the waters have calmed and that people actually still wake up and go, you know what, we've got a great country, great people, and we have the opportunity to provide something unique in life, which I think the American dream is still there compared to other countries. We don't have the British dream. Unfortunately, we've got Boris Johnson, who looks more like a cartoon character than anything else. And I really do hope that, you know, the American dream comes back and flourishes for the minorities and all the different types of creed and relation of people that are in your country that make up such a great country and people that we've been fortunate enough to perform to over the years.
Well, I can't wait for you guys to come back. And I got good news for you. I'm actually running for office in Utah for the state legislature. So maybe, you know, there's people like me that are going to put their hat in the ring and see if we can't, you know, do this kindly and with love for across the world.
I hope so. And if you want a band to perform at your inauguration, then just give us a shout and we'll be there. Absolutely.
100% on that one. Thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to see you on election night. I really can't.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to follow you guys forever. I'm so glad you're well, Kevin. Take care.
Thank you.
Yep. Emily, what a treat.
Oh my God.
The best.
I mean, I'm excited you're running for office. I also want Kevin to run for office.
I want Kevin to run for office too. I want Kevin to come like narrate my life with his voice. Like, okay, Stormy, now you're going to go get some coffee.
Yes, I love it.
Oh, that was the best. So I mean, it's also very interesting to hear about the, you know, another country's citizen point of view about how we're doing and conducting ourselves here in our country when it comes to politics. And I couldn't agree with him more on some of that, what he's pointed out. So let's get back to the I Voted concerts. And, you know, when you see unique artists like Kevin that will be participating and think of 500, I think everybody needs to tune in. There's a list out online I saw today that lists the various artists, and maybe you can go in, and those that are curious, because there are a couple names that I thought I'm going to go look at who that is just because they're unique, like the Red Hot Chilli Pipers. Amazing. I love them. You know, what is the inspiration? We talked a little bit about it when 22,000 people made the deciding vote in Wisconsin, and that's so important. Everyone that's listening today, 22,000, those that go to a basketball game could have switched an entire state's electoral. It's really important to think about. How do you affect, you know, do you use this concert series as a way to inspire people to vote, make them happy to vote, get them engaged a little more?
Yeah, exactly. Billboard pulled a really amazing stat that I'm going to botch, but you'll get the idea. 30% of young people vote, but 65% of young people go to concerts. So we really want to bridge the gap to make voting exciting, cool, sexy, and really come together to celebrate this really sacred right of voting.
That's right. Do you have, I know that you're non-partisan, as is the concert. We want everybody to watch. We want everyone to vote wherever they stand or land in the political landscape. Do you have any predictions about Wisconsin and what might happen this year?
I have no idea. Like, as my father would say, and I think he was speaking nationally, but he's like, I feel like Trump could totally win. or I feel like it could totally be a blowout. It's interesting as I watch, like I voted artists who are from Wisconsin, starting to do interviews and things like that. Like, I mean, it's cliche, but Wisconsin people are so nice. And I think we truly like find the humanity in one another, or I'd like to think so. That's definitely what I'm hearing, from Wisconsin, but I have no idea what's going to happen. I certainly know people that normally vote third party that voted for Biden. I know Republicans who are voting for Biden, but that's just in my little personal circle. Like how divided the world is. I blame social media. I mean, we're just, we're not connecting as human beings, and it's really hard to see online. So like Kevin said, I mean, my hope is that we can come together after this election and truly work together.
Well, I think you probably Wisconsin, what do you say, Wisconsians?
Wisconsinites.
Wisconsinites. I've never known that. My dad grew up a little bit in Wisconsin, and I was born just outside of Chicago, and I do think that we're really nice. Yeah. I think the Midwest has this a little bit, we're just kind to each other. I think even if we don't mean it, we bite our tongue or something. I'm not sure. But out here in Utah, just running for it's a state legislator office. It's not, for the federal seats. And I have been shocked at the meanness, the unkind things that have been said, the names that get called, as someone that just wants to try to make a difference. And I try to remind listeners that you're qualified, you're a US citizen, you get to have a say in our government. You can be the government. I can be the government. We are the government. It goes beyond our vote. We have to participate at levels we've never imagined in order to get the change that we want. But by doing so, everybody better get on their shield of armor, because it's insane. That's all I can say. It's insane. Most vulnerable things I've ever done. And can't wait to get on the other side of this boat. That's all I got to say. Win or lose, you can change the narrative. You can start conversations that haven't been started before. And that's what I think your concert series does as well, is it just starts bringing people together on an issue that, like Kevin pointed out, it's a hot topic issue. And we think of our youth, 65% go to concerts. These are the future. Those are the future. Those are the people that are going to be within that group of folks come to this concert or going to the basketball game. Those youths, there is the next president in there. She is in there. She is in there, and she will change. And maybe it's a he, could be a he, but they will change the course of our history. And I want them to know that as they're out there, rocking out hard to concerts, that doesn't prohibit you from participating in a government official.
Absolutely. And I love what Kevin said. And I about campaigning positively. And I know there are often candidates that try to do that and then they get sucked in, but I have no interest in running for office, even though I love everything you just said, but it kind of made me want to run for office for a second. I'm like, I think I could do that. I think I could.
You can do it. You can bring people to
the positive track is what I'm like, oh, that's such a smart approach. I think that would be really appealing to people, but I could also see how easy it is to get caught up in someone else's record and their past, votes and things like that.
Well, it's really hard to find, I feel that like I don't talk about my opponent. I don't talk about anything but the issues and who I am and my character, because that's really all I'm going on. I'm not going to have my grandchildren in the room when I'm voting on a law. So, they're not really, they endorse me no matter what I do. But I think when you learn to bring people together like you have with the I Voted concert series, I think that is a talent in itself. And it's really about bringing people together and finding that one common love. And, maybe that's the beginning of a little bit more understanding, because music is non-partisan. Everybody loves a good song.
Yeah, that's right. And we've assembled over 200 volunteers this year. It's everything from, established music industry executives to students from USC and NYU and all over the country. So it's just been really inspiring. And I'd be curious to know what the difference in votes was in your race last time. You weren't in it, but, like in my neighborhood in Brooklyn, our most recent state assembly election was decided by 1,100 votes. The venue Brooklyn Steel down the street is like 1,800 capacity, so I mean,
Right.
The race might be decided by a few hundred votes.
Yeah, it's interesting. So Utah had straight party ticket voting. This will be the first year that we don't. Now, here's an interesting fact. People didn't know that they could vote for different people. People that are, 40, 50 years old did not know if they were a registered Republican, that they could have gone down the ballot and picked different people. They thought they had to vote Republican. This will be the first year that is not an option. I knew what I was walking into when I walked into it, but this is a very red county. I grew up here. It used to be blue. I'm running as a Democrat, and it's 65%, 35%.
Right.
So, to swing it, it'll be about 3,500 votes, although I expect turnout due to the presidential race and the mail-in voting to be higher than we've ever seen here. But even if we switch it a little bit, like I said, even changing the conversation, having a different narrative, there's a butterfly effect to that. And you don't have to win. When you sign up for politics, you better be ready to win or lose. But every time you walk out on a sporting field, there's a winner and a loser before the game starts. And that's where people have to, I accept both outcomes. I really do. But, I know I've been able to change the conversation just a little bit. We've got 19 women out of 75 in our state legislation. We have 16 Democrats out of 75. So diversity isn't broad yet here.
But, you are changing that with representation. The I Voted executive team is 100% women, and our overall team is 80% women, non-binary folks, and people of color. And there's no doubt in my mind that it's, majority women students applying to volunteer with us because they see that representation. They see women running the event. They see us at the top. Work Tour founder Kevin Lyman's on our board. He's a professor at USC. He's like, it's all my women students applying. I'm like, men are welcome also. But again, I see that at my companies too. It's definitely about representation. And that's what you're doing in Utah, which is huge.
Yeah, it's been an honor, and it's been the most punches I've ever had to take in a short period of time in my life. So, but everybody do it. You got to take the punch for the next one. Think about Susan B. Anthony and Lucy Stone and Rosa Parks and all of those people. Martin Luther King, everybody.
RBG.
Yes, RBG, my love. All of them, men and women alike who take those punches so your grandkids don't get punched as hard. And that's where you gotta, you gotta do it. We all gotta do it. So I love that. I want to get back to you really quick though, because you've done some other things that I want to talk about in regards to just helping people. Now, whether it be within politics or athletes or interns, you've written 2 books. One of them's a bestseller. But the first one you did, the first book you wrote was a how-to guide for interns in modern business, right? Is that right?
Yeah, it's called Interning 101.
An intern manifesto that she created. So for youth, the young, people that are way younger than me now, but in order for them to stand up, be able to participate, maybe in an industry that they don't know about, maybe in music like you. But that led to, right, you wrote that book, and then is that what led you to be an adjunct professor? Is that what the next step was?
That's a good question. I get asked to speak at a lot of universities and music business programs. And so I'd been a regular speaker at NYU for a while. I was really floored when I spoke in Lauren Davis's class, who's Clive Davis's daughter and a fabulous attorney herself, where she said she was a fan of mine. I was like, your dad was Whitney Houston's person. Like, what are you talking about? Your dad's Clive Davis. But yeah, so I've gotten to know Lauren Davis pretty well, and she had me teach a couple management classes at NYU, and it was just phenomenal to work. I mean, it's in Tisch School of the Arts. It's just ridiculously talented students. So it's a privilege to contribute to the Clive Davis Institute in any way that I can.
Amazing. I didn't catch the Clive Davis part till just now. Yeah, you're kind of just a badass all the way around.
Thank you. I just do what I love, right? You know, like that's what it's all about.
And it's inspiring. I mean, it feels like you keep, like you were young, this age group, like you speak to them. Because when you were young, you went and grabbed, Amanda Palmer and changed your life, and then writing a book for people to change their life, and then getting in that room with the Davises and changing, the life of the youth. You're creating a big path for us. Like your butterfly effect is affecting many. I can feel it.
Thank you. But I was them, right? Like in fact, I was too intimidated to go to NYU. I like as a kid from Wisconsin, when I was touring it in high school, I guess I said to my mom, I'm not ready for this. So I went to school in Boston, which was great for me. But yeah, I was just a kid from a village in Wisconsin who didn't know anyone in this industry. And now I know too many people. So I'm happy to share those experiences with anyone that, can learn from it.
I love it. Then your second book is a bestseller on Amazon. How to Build a Sustainable Music Career and Collect All Revenue Streams. Now, interestingly enough, a few years ago, I love the blockchain, and I, through my Overstock experience and stuff, was introduced to it in about 2012, along with the cryptocurrency. But the blockchain by itself is a really phenomenal technology, the way it works. And I had an entire business model, but you can't break into your industry. Like, it's a tough, tight industry, and I get it. But I had a great idea for exactly this, how to collect all revenue streams. And I learned a lot about it. So for the listeners, I'm going to go get this book and read about it, because the way that music works digitally today, you have the writer, you have the producer, you have the record company, and then you have people who listen to it online digitally. And you should never do that for free. I mean, you can, on YouTube, that's fine, but these are artists and this is their work and they deserve to be paid. In the digital world back in the day, what was the one, Emily, where everyone was stealing the music? Napster?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't want to say any name that would be, tarnish someone's reputation. But Napster, we were like stealing money out of these artists, producers, managers' pockets. And then, the internet caught up and business people caught up. But when you think about this across the globe, we are talking micro pennies. We're splitting pennies because millions of people listen to a song, billions even, across the world. And then you've got to get these revenue streams to 7 different people. It's insanity.
Yes, absolutely.
What's this book about?
It's basically, on one hand, I feel like it's information that's out there, but it's information that I've never seen put in order, from recording to release or creation to execution. So it takes the artist or industry person or student or whoever through that process. And the music industry was set up decades ago, before Clive Davis's day, in the 1950s, to confuse artists. So if you're trying to teach something to someone that is meant to be confusing, if you're teaching it out of order, that's going to be super confusing for the student, for the educator. Because, I'll see artists, at South by Southwest, in the audience at panels being like, okay, this is what PR is, like, this is what sound exchange is, but nobody's putting it in order. And this was information that musicians always want from me. In non-pandemic times, it's like, I wouldn't even have to post I'm in Milwaukee. It could just be Thanksgiving or something. And musicians are hitting me up like, hey, can we get coffee? Can I pick your brain? And I just felt like I was having the same conversations over and over on literally how to build a sustainable music career in the importance of data collection and knowing who your fans are and knowing where they are, instead of just getting overwhelmed by all these new services. Like, I've navigated them all throughout my career. So I'm like, here's what I think. I am not beholden to any of these companies. Like, here's what I think works and doesn't work. And I, illustrate that through examples from my career. And then the second half of the title came about because I was sick of taking on artists and finding money for them, which on one hand is definitely a huge part of an artist manager's job. But on the other, if that's happening to national acts that we've heard of, then what about everyone else? So like I said, I didn't feel like you should have to know me personally or have access to me to have access to this information. So I wrote it all down. I didn't set out to be an author with either book. I felt a very inherent need to get this information out into the world in the format that I did.
Killing bureaucracy is what that is. Getting people like from the start line to the shortcut without having to run the first 2 laps around the ring. And I think, just to go back, politics needs the same type of handbook, because it's set up, when you said in the 50s, it was set up to confuse artists. The government information that we get is kind of set up to confuse citizens. So you are confused. But simplifying the music industry is the next thing you should do is simplify government.
Yeah, I'm not as much of an expert, but like you summed it up with your race, right? Like you're like, well, it's always been, voting for one party and now they're changing it. It's just like, it's so confusing. And I think that's why, especially young people can get intimidated about voting, right? So just, you're exactly right. Those systems were set up to confuse, no doubt.
Yep. And exclude.
Yeah.
Which is super important. So what else, is there anything, like what else are you cooking up? What are you going to do after I voted?
I'm really excited to do a podcast on my new book.
Yay!
Yeah.
Is there a third book?
I don't know yet. Because like I said, I wasn't like, oh, let me write some books. It was like, okay, I need to share this information with the world. Actually, the third book, I would write with our COO of I Voted, Melanie Shark, about how to build the biggest concert ever with no budget and a group of women and a group of people of color and figuring it out. I'm sure we'll do some workshops and panels on here's what worked, here's what didn't, and please invest in women, because if this is what we could do without funding, think of what we can do with funding. But yeah,
I want to volunteer.
Thank you.
I do. I want to volunteer on something. I don't know what it is, but I just want to support in whatever way that means.
Thank you. That means so much coming from you.
It means a lot, everything you're doing.
Thank you. But yeah, I'll definitely do a podcast on the new book. It's something I've wanted to do all year, but it's just gotten backburnered with the election. So I'm kind of, I'm going to take my first week off. That's not between Christmas and New Year's after the election.
Good for you.
Very excited about that. And then, yeah, the podcast will be fun just because I voted as my project, but it's turned into such a behemoth. I'm excited for like my own little project for a little bit.
And your company is Collective Entertainment.
That's right. Yeah.
And you, sporting athletes, comedians, musicians, if anybody's out there listening and they want to, simplified management that helps you move around agilely and not bureaucratically, it's you, right? That's what I've taken from this.
Thank you. Yeah. And in the sports realm, I was on a swimming scholarship. I was actually a butterflyer. So when you said butterfly effect, I was like, oh. So we'll definitely be getting ready for the new 2021 Olympic year.
Oh, wow. That's great. And do you focus on the swimmers?
I do. Yeah. I manage 2016 Olympic champion Anthony Irvin, who's the rock star of Olympic swimming, which combines both of my worlds. As well as Caitlin Sandino, who's also an Olympic gold medalist. She's retired, but she's a model, host, and one of the first women GMs in pro sports history of the International Swimming League's DC Trident. And then I also managed the 2016 head U.S. Olympic swim coach, David Marsh. So 3 swimming clients, but they're very unique in the swimming world.
I feel like I got to try harder.
Like I said, it's just stuff that I love. It's like when a tennis player writes to me and wants to work with, I'm like, you don't want me managing your tennis career. So I know.
Call Mr. Williams.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's just, before we close, how do we engage folks with I Voted on the social handles? Where can they follow all of the fun things going on?
Definitely. ivotedfestival.com or ivotedconcerts.com, same URL, and at ivotedfestival on social. And we're doing like artist Instagram takeovers, and we just announced MGMT today. It's like we're announcing more and more artists every day, and I know we're so close to the election, but a lot of amazing artists are confirmed. Part of me is like, we've been talking to you for 6 months, but I knew this would happen, and it's definitely all good.
Well, I think people were waiting, or at least, folks that do live events, waiting to see like if they should commit to something online or if they should commit to anything at all. But I've heard secrets. There's big acts that are signing up too. So when you look at the list, just know that they're coming and it's going to be amazing. But even those names you don't know, like maybe Kevin's with the Red Hot Chilli Pipers, I'm telling you, you'll be obsessed with them at the end of this. And we're going to promote it on my website too, stormysimon.com, with step-by-step instructions on how to stream. Remember what Emily said, you can take a picture with your empty ballot. You can take a picture next to your mailbox. If you're in another country, what do you do?
You can send us a video, or you can RSVP letting us know which artists you're excited to check out.
Right. If you're under 18, you can send a video that just says, hey, I'll be 18 in 3 years, but I still want to watch your amazing show. So nobody's excluded. Everybody is included, and this is a phenomenal way for us to come together. I want to say thanks, Emily, and I'm going to stalk you later.
It's truly an honor and privilege to meet you this way and be on your show.
Well, you've inspired me, but I know you've inspired anybody that's out there thinking maybe my hands are full, or maybe I'm not, sitting home with COVID and I got time on my hands. Just follow your passions. Continue to follow your passions. Continue to ask that question. Maybe reach out on LinkedIn to that Amanda Palmer in your life that perhaps they'll respond and it can take you down a new path, a better path. And above all, everyone, please be kind. Be kind throughout this election. Respect your neighbor's vote and respect your own, and make it no matter what, because you count, that vote counts, and we all count, and we can do this together. Thanks everyone for listening to this Liberty edition of Lunch with Stormy. I want you to join the conversation at stormysimon.com. Listen to us on Apple Podcast or whatever your podcast listening platform is, and give us a 5-star rating because we love those. And again, Emily, thank you for being so perfect for what our youth need and what our world needs. And I look forward to more conversations with you.
Same.
Have a great day, everybody.